It's Kate.
And Oliver Hudson. Host of the new podcast, Sibling
Revelry.
That's right.
We started this show because, you know what? No one talks about siblings and that dynamic.
The siblings, they know each other better than anybody.
Yes.
You know.
Listen to Sibling Revelry on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Frances Fry.
And I'm Ann Morris.
And we are the hosts of a new TED podcast called Fixable.
We've helped leaders at some of the world's most competitive companies solve all kinds of problems.
On our show, we'll pull back the curtain and give you the type of honest, unfiltered advice we usually reserve for top executives. Give us a call and we'll help you solve the problems you're stuck on. Listen to Fixable on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 252 is episode 129, How to Make Extra Money with a Side Business.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are talking about side businesses or side hustles. The side hustle word, I think, kind of gets a little convoluted because everything falls under this side hustle term. So we're going to just take out side business. And this is what this episode focuses on.
Yeah. I sold something on Facebook Marketplace for $10. It's a side hustle.
Right? I mean, and reselling, we'll talk about, can be a side business.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I want to take out the driving for Uber, Postmates, or, walking dogs for Rover. Like, those are side hustles, but those aren't side businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You're just a contractor for somebody else's business. So we're talking about kind of starting your own little side business, becoming like a part-time entrepreneur.
And those things are worthwhile. This is just for
Absolutely.
a particular person who is interested in maybe starting their own business with that focus. So that's how we're approaching this episode.
Yeah.
But first, this episode is brought to all of us by Wicked Smart. You all know this one. If you're listening to this podcast, you are very familiar with this sponsor. It's not just smart, it's wicked smart, reminding us that we can be very shrewd with all of our resources and decision making. Speaking of wicked smart, it's a super good idea to keep your money you've been saving, like that emergency fund, your sinking fund, your holiday money, in a high yield savings account like the one offered at CIT Bank. Currently, they're at 2.15% APY. Frugalfriendspodcast.com/wicked smart. Just kidding. Frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT. /wicked smart won't take you anywhere, but you can try it. Frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT. Get yourself a high yield savings account.
Yes, 2.15 is really good, especially without the hoops to jump through that a lot of other maybe higher APY places have. Like, you have to be a customer here, or you have to keep so much in here, or have to put so much in every month, or connect your direct deposit. CIT has none of those. And we would never recommend a high yield savings account that requires that stuff, because you don't know where you're going to be in 2, 3, 5 years. And we want this to be something you keep. So
I think it does require at least $100 to open up their savings account, but that's very common.
Have a minimum start, but then you can like drain it to 50 or 25 if something goes wrong, and they don't penalize you for it. So, but hopefully you won't drain it down to that, but you can. So frugalfriendspodcast.com/CIT. It's great. If you are interested in small-time entrepreneurship or even big-time entrepreneurship, we don't cover that on this show. We're more like basic level I had to stop myself because I always say something else after basic. But there are several other episodes that you can queue up to listen to after this that are really good. So episode 170, Your Guide to Simple Solopreneurship with Laura Adams. So Laura Adams is a business and finance expert, and she kind of debunks some of the myths and fears people have about taxes and bank accounts and all this logistical stuff when starting a side business. So that's episode 170. And then episode 242, which we just recently did, Frugal Side Hustles, Digital Products with Ellie Talks Money. And so this is the Frugal Side Hustles thing is something we are going to be doing periodically. So every other month, we're going to feature a new frugal side hustle. And Digital Products with Ellie was just our first one. We're going to have another one next month on freelance writing, which is how I was able to leave my full-time job. So I am very excited about showcasing some of these side businesses or side hustles that can grow to the point where you can make them a full business, but you don't have to quit your job in order to be successful with them.
Love that.
So those are some great ones. And then we've got more good ones to come. But yeah, let's stop wasting time. Let's get into the episode.
Do it.
Today is about what mindset shifts do we need to make and what strategies can we use to make more money outside the workplace, but not selling your soul to an app. So
Yes.
that's the headspace I want you to be in. And speaking of headspace, our first article is from hacktheentrepreneur.com. And it's called Entrepreneurial Mindset, How to Think Like an Entrepreneur. And it's really foundational. I have found in my entrepreneurial journey, actually having the accurate mindset. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Jill?
Yeah, I think that this article lays a really good foundation for what we need to be aimed at if we want to take the next step in our side hustle, side business journey. And of course, mindset is where it begins. Thoughts of whether or not I can do this absolutely sets the trajectory for whether or not we are going to take the next step in that direction. So mindset is a big part of this, and we hope to encourage you in this process and also give you a couple of tools from this article on what you can do, even related to your thought processes, to help you feel confident and prepared to do this.
Yeah. And I want to reiterate over and over throughout this episode that you do not have to be like living in your mom's basement or in Silicon Valley or something. You don't have to be the next startup CEO. You don't have to be great at selling or be the stereotypical entrepreneur that you think of. Mm-hmm. You can have a low impact side business that you do on the weekends, or you do some in the mornings, and you can commit to it as much or as little time as your life requires, and still have a side business. Mm. So that is kind of something we want to reiterate throughout the episode.
And I do want to say at the start of this episode, we're not going to be giving a whole list of ideas of what you can do for a business.
No.
We are hoping to water and give a little bit of sunlight to possibly ideas that are already stirring inside of you, wherever your skill set already is, if you've had that. And I like what this article describes. So I will absolutely direct people to this article because we're not going to go through it in its entirety. Talks about that feeling in the pit of your stomach that a lot of us have sometimes of there's more I could be doing, or I'm not utilizing this aspect of my skill set, or I really have a desire to teach people how to such and such, or solve this problem for so and so. And that's what we're talking about. So when you've got the rumblings of that idea, this is the episode to help you water that idea. A couple of examples, and as I mentioned this, of maybe some things that we've done. First of all, this podcast is one of those. This is a side business for us. Yeah, right. So, you can try to start a podcast. As we've talked about in previous episodes, it is not the most lucrative for at least the first 2 years.
Not low impact. That's for sure.
My husband and I have also DJ'd. That's a weekend thing, so it didn't pull us from our regular daytime jobs. And that was our own business that we had. We also did some bartending on the side. That was our own business that we would show up to weddings and bartend, BYO events. What about for you, Jen? Any examples of side businesses?
Yeah, we rented out our guest room on Airbnb. So we were able to control the pricing and who was there. My very first one was a t-shirt company. I designed t-shirts and sold them. And then publishing on Amazon. And really my entire business is just a collection of smaller businesses.
Yes.
So and they make up one full-time income. So I feel like this is all I'm doing.
It's just all under your name and your social security number. It's great.
Yeah. Well, now my employee ID number.
Yeah. And we'll talk about more of this in our lightning round, but wanted to say that from the start that we are watering and providing sunlight to you.
Yes. Okay. Let's go to the first one. There's 5 on here.
Yeah. So five mindset things that are going to be able to help us prepare to do this whole startup business thing. And the first one is decisiveness. Holy smokes, couldn't agree more. But I don't know that I would have fully put this to words, but I'm discovering more and more how important it is to be decisive. Mm-hmm. I think even just financially, and as we are on this frugal journey, it is a really important skill and muscle to develop in ourselves. The ability to say yes or no to something, to know what we want in the future, a decisiveness. And so they say that your ability to make a decision could make or break your future successes, even in a small business, because you will be making decisions constantly. So this is, even if you are good at making decisions, it's still something that we can regularly be intentional about improving our decisiveness and quick decision-making skills. They give an example here of practicing this in daily life, even just when ordering lunch. Like, do you want a sandwich or a salad? Just decide. Just pick something. Look over the menu once and order that thing, and confidently. And as you continue to do that and practice that, you will become better and better at making decisions on things that might be a little bit more important than whether or not you eat a sandwich or a salad.
Yeah. And that leads into the second one, which is confidence. So I feel like I have been practicing at this since day one. And the first question that is on here is like, how do you act confidently when you don't know what you're doing? That's like the entrepreneur, like imposter syndrome of just everybody goes through that. Like, I don't know one entrepreneur that hasn't felt like they don't know what they're doing. And if you do know what you're doing, you just don't know enough to know that you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
And their solution is pretend you know what you're doing. You literally have to fake it till you make it. Like, obviously you shouldn't be in a field you know nothing about.
Yeah.
But if you are in a field that you are fairly knowledgeable about, and you kind of know what you're doing in essence, then even when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you just have to force it. You have to pretend. Because the truth is you probably know a little bit more than what you're giving yourself credit for. Imposter syndrome is so real. But I love what Amy Porterfield from Online Marketing Made Easy. She says you just have to have a 10% edge. So you just have to have 10% more knowledge than your client, or 10% more like opportunities or assets or whatever than your customer, 10% ahead of whoever you're serving.
Yeah.
And sometimes I found that to be even better than somebody who's leaps and bounds like expertise, because the richer you are, the bigger you are, the more successful you are, the more out of touch you are
the less
with the
attainable.
people that are far behind you. And so I think it's better. And I think more people should be starting businesses with products or services that are closer to and more in touch with their ideal customer.
We were not podcasters. Here we are.
Absolutely not.
But we started a podcast.
I'm a writer. I had no desire to talk.
Yeah. And you all listened. And so we kept going.
Right.
And here we are.
Thank you.
And when you need more confidence, just put on some lipstick.
That's what I did today.
Or comb your hair.
So true.
You can. If your hair's not curly. Can you comb your hair? That's a side tangent.
Okay.
Third on this list is accountability. And what this is referring to is holding yourself accountable and taking on responsibility, which really we all should be doing just as adults. Welcome to adulthood. But recognizing that everything that we do or that happens at work when we are starting our own business, whether small or large, you are responsible for. Everything that happens in your business, you are responsible. Whether it moves forward or falls flat, you are responsible. And that's not to be a fear, that's not to induce fear in this process, but to help us to recognize where the onus is, to be able to pick up that responsibility, because it's going to be helpful as far as mindset goes in being able to move forward with the business that you're starting.
Yeah, I get a lot of emails and direct messages from people who really have a lot of things that are in circumstances that are legitimately unfortunate. Mm-hmm. But I've also seen a lot of stories, and I'm sure we all have, because it's the stories of people who are in very unfortunate circumstances and come out of them and are successful. Those are the ones you hear all about. Mm-hmm. And I know those people personally. Mm-hmm. And so I can't believe that people can't come out of their unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
I've seen too many people, and sometimes I belittle my own circumstances, but I'm learning more and more that the circumstances I came out of them are also legitimate. And so to be somebody who has overcome things, and then to also see people that have overcome even bigger things, you have to believe that I love this quote, your circumstances may not be your fault, but they are your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so to overcome them.
I think it's also empowering too. While it's scary in some ways, it's also empowering to know you do have control. Mm-hmm. And so where we feel like the locus of control is inside of us. You've talked about that a lot, Jen. I know that's your favorite concept.
It is my favorite concept. Yes.
Yeah. Then we are able to move forward in health towards greater opportunities. And we have an ability to, when we feel as though we actually are able to influence our surroundings and make changes within our immediate circumstances, we fare better, and your business is likely to fare better.
Yeah, for sure. The fourth one, I think, is the most important one on the list. And it's resilience.
Yeah.
Because as an entrepreneur, as a human being, you'll make mistakes and you'll fail, and you'll have things, you'll have products or whatever that you think are going to go great, that you've market research, that you're just really confident in, and then they just fall flat and you don't know why. You will do everything right and everything will go wrong. But you'll have as many times where you do nothing right and everything goes right. So but we always remember the times that go wrong, right? Mm-hmm. We never remember the times we get lucky or the times we really succeed. We always remember the times where everything went wrong. Mm-hmm. And so you have to develop resilience to move past those things and devalue them to the level they actually exist at.
Mm-hmm. And resilience is something that we can build. I know sometimes we talk about resilience as something people are just born with, of some people thrive and other people don't, yet given the same circumstances. And we think it might just be innate or you're born with it. But the reality is that resilience can be built upon. We can grow our resilience factors inside of ourselves. And some of that has to do with picking ourselves back up after a failure and continuing to move forward, to allow ourselves room for failure and not allow it to completely derail us, to remind ourselves of our strengths, to engage in self-care practices, and also all of the other three things that we've just mentioned before this resilience piece. So there are ways to engage in this and build upon it inside of ourselves. It's not as if you're just born with it. And if I don't have it, well, oh well.
Absolutely.
And number 5, the last on this list, is humility. I like how they describe it. Humility is freedom from pride or arrogance. And it is a necessary characteristic of entrepreneurship or starting our own businesses, again, even if very small. It's the ability to be able to be coachable and to learn and to be able to fail and learn from those mistakes and do something different next time. Engaging others in the process and asking them to speak into the situation and not imagining that we know everything or exactly how something should be done. And this humility is going to be a major component in seeing success in your business.
Mm-hmm.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah. So those are the mindset shifts to go through. And in general, I think even if you don't want to start a side business, they are important characteristics to have. But especially if you want to do something entrepreneurial, even if it's small, because I can name all of these every times I've needed all of these things in mine. And sometimes the humility has been forced, but they're definitely all necessary. So where do we even go from here? I'll tell you where we go.
So we're going to entrepreneur.com.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. So a funny thing is that entrepreneur.com actually has the number one result for make more money, since that's what I Googled because it's the title of the show. But I didn't go with that article because that one was exactly like what I described at the beginning of the show. But in the article, they had a link to this one called How to Make a Fortune with $100. And I thought it was just a really interesting piece. And it like gave some interesting concepts that I think if you're not engulfed in entrepreneurship or haven't started a business, like you wouldn't even think, I didn't think this way, but just like tips from 6 different really super wealthy entrepreneurs on how they would make a fortune with $100.
Yeah. And so they don't necessarily build upon each other. They're all from various individuals providing their insight on what they would do. And so the first one comes from a gentleman named Gary. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Thank you. And he says to buy and flip. So, and this is so true. They mention even the poorest of us most likely has anywhere between 500 to maybe $5,000 worth of stuff sitting around in our closets, in our garages, unwanted toys, jackets, shoes, tools, you name it. And being able to sell them, but also buy online and then flip those things. So he's saying that we can figure out what these items are worth, purchase them at a lower amount at your yard sales or Craigslist or eBay, and then flip it at the same places, eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I know Travis does this.
Yes, Travis does flipping. He finds a lot of things for free and like on Facebook Marketplace or on the side of the road, and then he'll clean it up and he'll sell it on Facebook Marketplace. And we try to make it our goal to pay for daycare with the money he makes from flipping. And we don't make it all the time, but a lot of the time we do make it. So that's really fun. But I know that people can make a lot of money flipping like clothing, especially shoes and outerwear. If you follow Teach to Thrift on Instagram, she does that and she's super successful. But start with the stuff in your house. You can start with the stuff in your house and just use it as a launch pad. So the second one is from Ty Lopez. And he says, sell or service. So the best businesses to start when you have $100 or less are either sales or service businesses, because all you need is your phone and the internet. So it can be consulting or selling cars or life insurance. He says even vacuum cleaners door to door. I don't know if I would do that one. He says because these fields hone the skills that will be valuable to you when you have more capital. So you learn how to persuade, negotiate, overcome fear, and handle rejection. So a lot of these starter businesses are really learning opportunities too. If you have aspirations to one day leave your job and work for yourself.
Yeah, I like this idea of not having much overhead, even if you are considering, well, what could be a business that I could start? Definitely one that doesn't require you to buy a brick and mortar building.
Absolutely.
Next on this list is test before you invest. So if you do have an idea for a small business that you can start, this suggestion talks about utilizing $100 that you might have to be able to test your idea or try to generate leads. So they mention buying $25 Facebook ads and seeing what kind of results you get, whether you get a positive or a negative response. And if the idea falls flat, then maybe tweak it. Or if the momentum is really good, then keep going with it. So if you're uncertain if you've got a good idea or not, this could be a really good way to test the idea and have a low investment point on it before you turn it into something larger.
Yeah, this is super popular in online business is because you can do a conversion ad on Facebook for as little as $5 a day. So putting something up that states your idea, going to like a web page or a landing page or something simple. And if people click on it, then you know it's popular. And if they don't click on it, you know they don't want it or it's not a popular idea. So it's very easy. You don't have to know a lot about Facebook ads to really test the service or the product that you want to serve. Whether it's online or locally, you can really target ads to very specific people on Facebook. So it's good to see if your target market would be interested in it. And the next one is from Chris Plow. I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Sure.
Utilize your expertise. And so I love this one. He says the simplest way to bootstrap is to identify, share, consult, or teach, and then scale. So we found when we were paying off debt, it was these side hustles that utilized the expertise we already had. So for me, it was acupuncture, and I did acupuncture on the side at a rehab center. For Travis, it was he's an aircraft mechanic. So there are forms that you fill out after you fix something that only a mechanic can fill out. And so he would, while other mechanics were, fixing stuff, he would fill out their forms and sign them for them. So he made money doing that. So it was the things that used our expertise that got us the highest, highest bang for our buck, I guess, most money per hour. But yeah, so take inventory of your skills, the unique positions you're in, certifications, anything that you know, and see how you can capitalize on it.
Yeah. Even outside of your regular day-to-day job, it could be something that you turn into a side business because of your area of expertise. The fifth one on this list is from Steve Griggs and reminds us to not forget service. They talk about given the FedEx speed and the Ritz-Carlton service and how even the way that we approach a small business on the side and going above and beyond for those that you're providing services or products to can be really helpful in even getting referrals and future jobs. That this, because of doing a job so well, you might even be able to drum up more business with a zero marketing budget if you are going above and beyond, going the extra mile for the people that you are serving. And it doesn't cost you necessarily to be kind, maybe emotionally, depending on the client.
For sure.
But that even if there's a ton of other people out there doing your idea, there could still be room for you to do that thing. And you still might have an edge on others doing it if you are simply kind, you do good service, you're efficient, and that gives you that edge that just might be able to make the business work.
Yeah. Another side to the service coin is that a lot of people struggle to raise their prices or to just price them at a point that's viable. They don't think that their time is worth that or that their service is worth that. And so adding more service or more features or more bonuses that make your service or product more appealing or quote unquote worth more, but don't necessarily take more of your time, can help you charge more and more for things, help you validate it internally. Because most of the time, increasing our prices is an internal struggle, not external. But it can help you to add more service to justify price increases. So like a digital product or even a physical product that you can give. something that you can give over and over for free that isn't giving more and more of your time.
Yeah.
And last on the list is from Roy McDonald. He says it's never about the money. You could start over 6,000 businesses with $100. But he's like, I've taken whole blocks of apartments with $100 option and traded them. And I was like, I don't know what that means. But it's never about the money. It's about how good the idea is. And he says it's also about partners if you have those, but it's mainly about your deep knowledge and understanding of the marketplace that will accelerate your business and your business venture. So it's your job to articulate the vision of the business to people so they buy it. And so your money or your time is better spent in marketing your product or service, your business, than actually in the business. And so you need to be able to articulate why it's important and do your market research and all of that.
And I like his focus on getting the right people around you in that process, that whether or not they even turn into a business partner, even getting consulting or ideas and opinions from the right people who are able to speak into those aspects can be invaluable to the beginnings of this thing.
Yeah. And you know what other beginnings are invaluable?
Ooh, it's the Bill of the Week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the Bill of the Week.
Hi guys, this is Emily from Ithaca, New York, and I'm calling with my Bill of the Week. And my Bill of the Week is light bulbs. So we decided that we were going to switch to LED light bulbs to help save on our electric bill. And since we're in a no-spend challenge, I wasn't going to buy them right away. So I was price checking and seeing how much they would be at different places and found that the cheapest was probably going to be about $20 for a 12-pack. But today we got an email from our electric company that they have a sale on light bulbs, and they were $6 for a 12-pack instead of like $20. So we bought 2 12-packs of light bulbs today, and I was just so excited that I had to call and tell you guys that how much we saved on light bulbs. And then we're going to be saving so much on our electric bill switching all of our light bulbs because we have like 1 million light bulbs to switch over. All right. Thanks, guys. Love the podcast.
That's so fun. I love it that people think of us now when they do stuff like this.
Yes. Any little money savings or like small bill is I just gotta call you and tell you. And I am equally excited with you that you got a deal on something you'd already been looking for. I think that's what always stands out to me is when you're patient for something and it's something that you need, and then it comes along that there is a deal on that exact thing that you need. It just feels like the stars align.
I know. That's the best part. It's like it comes before you buy it and not after.
Yes.
That's a blessing.
Yeah. And the double whammy that not only did you save money on the light bulbs, but now it's going to save you money long term on every single electric bill that you get from here on out. Well done, Emily. And well done on your no spend challenge. We just glossed over that one real quick.
You're right.
Yes. She's being patient because she's on a no spend challenge.
And there's so many people on no spend October right now. It's so good. Well, if you want to submit your bill of the week, please, if you save money on something you think of us, visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill and leave us a bill and we will listen to it and love it.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the studio who brought you the #1 podcast, The Piketon Massacre, this is Murder 101.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
Those murders happened in the mid-1980s.
He's out there doing stuff. He just didn't stop.
Everything that the students predicted through their profile turned out to be accurate.
Redhead killer profile. Male, Caucasian, 5'9" to 6'2", 180 to 270 pounds. Unstable home, absent father and a domineering mother. Right-handed, IQ above 100, most likely heterosexual.
There is no profile of this killer except for the ones the students created.
Just because some of these women no longer have people to speak for them does not mean that they deserve to not be spoken for.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
I said, are you going to kill me? And he said, yes.
Listen to Murder 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now it's time for the lightning round.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. We're going to talk about our side business ventures. Yes, because this is all we do. And we don't talk about it a lot, but even together, we don't talk about it a lot. But we're always coming up with new ways to make money. That in itself is our hobbies.
Yeah. Yeah. How we started our side business ventures. I don't even remember what my first side business was. Honestly, I feel like I've had so many and not all of them have gone anywhere, right?
Yeah,
like obviously,
right.
Because I'm not doing like 20 different things most of the time. I did have like plants on the side of the road at one point trying to make money off of that. Just like anytime I see something that I'm like, this could make money, like I just go for it. And maybe that's part of the decisiveness thing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. It's always fun at least.
Exactly. So, but the first one that's coming to mind is, as I mentioned earlier, Eric, my husband, and I had a DJing business, and it was just something that we did on the side. And really it started because we already had the music equipment. Eric does music recording and has toured in the past. And I don't know, he just has a collection. And we would get people asking if they could borrow our speakers at different points, or he would utilize them at like his equipment at concerts, small concerts in the area. And I don't know, we might have been asked by a couple at one point if we would DJ their wedding, or we saw that either one, something happened here. Something happened where we saw that, we've got equipment and people want this service at an affordable rate. We already have other businesses and work that we're doing. So this could be something that we do on the side. It could be lucrative for us and still affordable for other people. And there's really no upfront startup cost because we already had the equipment. So it's an example of something that we had on hand, a skill that we had in our back pockets that we figured out how can we make money off of this. We don't, I say we don't do it anymore, although literally a week and a half ago we did DJ a wedding. I don't know. We just can't get out of it. It was for good friends and we were so pleased to do it. But I would say for a couple of years, we would do a handful of weddings. Yeah. And it brought in some real decent cash for hanging out with people on the weekends and playing music with equipment we already had.
For sure. Hopefully there were open bars at these weddings.
Well, they at least fed us.
Nice. Nice.
That's all I really need.
So my first side business was the t-shirt business. And that one taught me so much about business. It went up really, really fast and crashed even faster.
Well done.
Right? So I was designing t-shirts. I heard about Merch by Amazon from the Side Hustle Show. Great podcast if you want side business ideas. So I was listening to the podcast and I was like, I could design t-shirts. I used Canva, which is free. And then just uploaded them to a site that would remove the background because I wouldn't even pay Canva to get transparent backgrounds. Did it all for free. It only took my time and they started to sell. But I towed too close to the line of copyright infringement where it wasn't copyright infringement, but it was intellectual property. And other people were doing it. And so I was like, if they're getting away with it, I can. But my problem was that my shirt got very successful and it got up, like it sold very well. And so somebody else reported it. And that's what happened. Happens a lot when people get something that's really successful. It's happened to me with my book too. When that got really successful, somebody flagged some broken links and got my book taken down for a few days. And then magically there was another no spend challenge book up on Amazon. So that just happens. That's business. Yeah. People intentionally sabotage you. And part of it was my fault for towing the line too close. And so I was taken off of Amazon. And I got back onto Amazon, but without that shirt. And I had some other very popular shirts. One was even more popular than that, and it was not copyright infringement. And then somebody went and trademarked the phrase and then reported my shirt and took it down. So it was totally fine when I put it up, and then people trademarked it. So I learned so much about business from that. And I'm so thankful. It provided some money to help us pay off our debt faster. But I no longer sell t-shirts. And I actually have if you Google how to start a t-shirt business, like you'll find my article, but I no longer do it because I knew when to give up. Like I had already been kind of wanting to do other things. I tried to outsource the shirt design, and I picked I picked a designer that just did not jive. And so I spent all this money and nobody bought a single one of her designs. So yeah.
I think you're making a good point though, in this example, to dot your I's and cross your T's, that yes, while we are providing water and sunlight to all of your ideas, I also want to highlight here to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. I've got a good amount of friends actually who have some side businesses selling baked goods or food pre-prepared, which is awesome. And they're doing very well with it. But if it's an example of a route that you could take, but to make sure that you know what is required of you regarding the type of kitchen that you're cooking in and, providing items that are gluten-free or whatever you're getting into, that you're aware of the liability, that you have insurance, that you know how to handle taxes. And of course, there are others to help with this. You don't have to be an expert on all of these things. That's part of the team approach that we talked about in one of our articles earlier, and getting the right people around you. And it doesn't have to be overwhelmingly complicated. I just want to mention that caveat that it's worth doing some research as far as what will this require of me and what are the risks as I enter into this.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to start with insurance or, a business account or getting an LLC. Like you don't need any of those things to have a side business. Like those are once you start, making money and want to take yourself to the next level. But you should always be, you should know do trademark searches, copyright searches when like you're naming things, and just be aware of like common sense.
Yeah. There you
essentially.
go. Yes. And ask people about that.
Yes.
If you don't have it, ask.
Yeah.
So most lucrative side businesses and what made it so. Honestly, I know that we joke about this podcast and how little money it has made us. So maybe this is indicative of how little my previous side hustles have made. But honestly, we are getting to the point where thank you so much to our listeners and the support that we receive through that and through sponsorships. We are beginning to make money off of this podcast. And I think partly because of the longevity that we've had with it.
Yeah.
It is becoming lucrative. And I think because of the income to time ratio that's happening, we don't put a ton of time into the podcast and yet make some money off of it. So I think in that way, that's what's making it the most lucrative. I'm not spending an entire Saturday doing this like I did when I DJ'd. So we made a decent amount of money, but I think percentage wise, this is probably more lucrative.
For sure. Yeah, it is starting. We thank you for supporting our sponsors and buying the workbook. All this stuff helps us be able to do the podcast longer. So for me, my most lucrative one is self-publishing.
Yeah.
So my book, The No Spend Challenge Guide, brings in around $1,000 a month. And then I have 2 other books that bring in much less, but still some money. So that's, great. And the only thing I can attribute it was a little bit of doing everything right. So I really used Self-Publishing School, their content, and Chandler Bolt's book, and just did everything that they said. And then a little bit of luck too. Getting picked up by the algorithm in the right place at the right time, because I did the same exact things for my other books and they're not nearly as successful. But just getting it, making your own luck, almost being in the right place to get lucky. Because that's kind of how business works, right?
Yes.
It's a lot of work and a little luck. But without the work, you don't get the luck.
Mm-hmm.
Jill, how's that DJing career going?
Yes, I don't think have DJ'd since that podcast came out. I think we've officially sunsetted that side business and we've moved on to other things. I would say in the last 2 years, I've not really engaged in too many various things to bring in money. I've really focused in on what's currently right in front of me and what's currently in my hands and seen a lot of growth and progress with that, which I'm so grateful for. I don't think I could have gotten to this point without the past and kind of the things that I learned in trying new and different things, seeing what works, what doesn't. And finally now in my mid-30s, mid-30s, I'm feeling more established, more confident in my skill set, the things that I have grown up till this point that have really been a focus for me. So I'm glad for that. And I would say this podcast is my side hustle.
Mm-hmm. I know this is a side hustle that has grown to my full-time hustle.
Well, yeah.
My full-time business.
Yeah. Look at us using the word side hustle.
Yeah.
It's a business.
I know. Yeah. And I did not anticipate it. It's so funny because I've kind of come to this point now where in business, I think it's really great to throw spaghetti against the wall to see what works early on. Really give yourself a year or two to throw the spaghetti. And after you've done that, you have to simplify and you have to hone in on the thing that's working and double down on it. Mm-hmm. And hopefully
eat the spaghetti. Eventually you got to eat it.
Yeah. But if you are doing too many things for too long, which I did, I think I was doing when we recorded this episode, you will exhaust yourself, you will burn out, and you will quit. And I was at the burnout stage a year and a half ago. And somebody had to really challenge me to simplify. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's changed everything for me. And so I think that's one of we see these quote unquote serial entrepreneurs that just do they're doing a new business every 6 months. Or they're just doing too many things in their business. And it is exhausting. So I think it doesn't have to be that way. If you've seen poor examples of entrepreneurship, or maybe don't compare yourself to the people on social media either, because I know their backstory. I know a lot of their backstories, and they're not to. You don't want to compare yourself. You don't want to take the same path they are taking. Take your own path, and that'll be the right path for you.
Good, wicked smart, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I hope you got as much out of this a second time around as we did. Many of you know that we have a private community where we support people in doing their side businesses. And we also do monthly challenges and offer accountability groups. And we want to congratulate one of our members for a big win. This is more just congratulating Judith for being the OG. She says, I have been tracking every expense since last March. It seems there's always an unexpected expense, such as a repair, and you just have to have the money put aside for it. I watch my gas and food expenses go up monthly, and I've already consolidated trips, can't save much more on gas, eating more meatless meals, and this one, using aquafaba, the liquid that comes in cans of chickpeas, in place of eggs whenever possible. This has helped my budget.
Yes, Judith. I see you. You are the OG.
She is the OG, but also to say it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you need a miscellaneous fund or some kind of slush fund, because literally every month there is an unexpected expense. That doesn't go away no matter how good you get.
I can commiserate.
Even if you're as good as Judith. Yeah.
Even if you're using aquafaba in place of eggs, you still need a miscellaneous fund.
Yeah, which is big in the vegan vegetarian world. I can say it's not a shock to me, but I've never for the 10 years I was vegetarian, I never tried it. So congrats, Judith. Thank you for listening. If you want to check out our monthly challenge community, head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/club and see what challenge we have coming up next.
See you all next time.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Siriani.
Jen, I have both a frugal fail and a frugal win, but I'm only going to share one with you. Which do you want?
I want to hear your wins. I want to hear your successes.
Oh,
which one's
so
funnier?
Great.
I want to hear whichever one's funnier.
Neither one's funny. A win is celebratory. A fail is disappointing.
So you don't live my life, Jill. Okay, give me the win. Let's celebrate.
Okay. I did tell this to you already, but here we are for all of our listeners. I was so pleased. Last Friday, Frugal Friends Friday, mind you, no less.
I do love this one.
And I had gotten this flyer in the mail for the internet provider that we already have. Their mistake, I guess, offering very low internet to new customers. Well, we were already a customer, but it came in my mailbox. So I had put it on my desk, kind of one of those things, life admin. Hopefully I'll get to it. Well, Friday afternoon, I was tired. I was exhausted. Weary might be a good word to describe how I felt. And I'm thinking, I do not feel like calling. How much am I really going to save? It's okay. The amount that we pay right now for internet is still very reasonable. I don't feel like calling. But then I'm like, I wonder if I could make this change online, look online. And then I just get to this point where they're like, give us a call. You're already a customer. And for some reason, the barrier was lifted. And I'm like, all right, I'll give them a call. So I do. And I talk with this lovely person on the other end. And I say to them, hey, I know I'm already a customer, but I got this flyer offering the same speed of internet that I currently have for $20 less than what I'm currently paying. Is there anything that can be done to get me closer to this advertised rate? Sure enough, certainly we can do that. And as this person's working on getting me onto this new plan, I also notice this small print on the flyer saying that when you sign up for that level of internet speed, you get a $100 Visa gift card. So then I say to this person, I don't mean to be greedy, but can I also get that $100 gift card that's being advertised? And there was a slight pause on the other end of the phone. They're just like, yeah, I can do that for you. So sure enough, after 15 minutes, this is record speed. I kid you not. It was only a 15-minute phone call. I am now paying $20 less on my internet, and I'm going to get a $100 Visa gift card in the mail after 3 months of paying my bill on time, just in time for the holidays.
I love this story because it just is a perfect example of you don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah.
And hey, if you're on the phone for a half hour and they're giving you the runaround and you don't want to be on the phone anymore, hang up.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fine. At least you tried.
Yeah.
Like 15 minutes.
It really
Travis was once on. He was once on the phone for like 6 hours.
He has stamina.
With a cell phone company that shall not be named.
No. He has the
They don't even
stamina
exist anymore.
of, I don't know, what has a lot of stamina. He's got that.
Yeah.
I could never. But you
good
know,
for
I
you,
felt
Jill.
weary. I didn't want to call. But after that, I was jazzed for the whole weekend. It really revved me up. $20 a month I'm saving on internet. Like, it's astronomical.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
I'll tell you my fail next time.
Okay. I can't wait.
Okay, bye.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. Dive into family tales, explore the human mind, and laugh with guests like Joel and Benji Madden. It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Jacob Goldstein. I used to host Planet Money. Now I'm starting a new show. It's called What's Your Problem? Every week on What's Your Problem, entrepreneurs and engineers describe the future they're going to build once they solve a few problems. I'm talking to people trying to figure out how to do things that no one on the planet knows how to do, from creating a drone delivery business to building a car that can truly drive itself. Listen to What's Your Problem on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.